No. Okay, Jeff, you're up.
Attention, Bajoran workers. It appears that a man named Thomas Riker has commandeered the most powerful warship in the quadrant. I am Gul Dukat. Welcome to Deep Space Nine at 9ish. Okay. Season 3, episode 9. Defiant came out in 1994. Jonathan Frakes starring as Thomas Riker, not William Riker. Don't get them crossed. We get a lot of Dukat in this episode. Cisco kind of embarrassed that somebody stole a ship. It's kind of like, somebody stole your car and you got to go get it back, and you're like, hey, can you go help me? Other guy that runs another faction or something. I don't know.
Just like that.
It seems like that.
Dude, where's my car? That's what
this is Deep Space Nine's version of Dude, Where's My Car? So let's bring in let's bring in the tag team couple. Kevin and Ashley Millard. Hey,
hello.
You're free to talk for as long as you want about what you think this episode brings. What do you? But hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't know what this episode. Might as well let Dave take it away.
Okay. Well, all right. I will say before we get to him that every time I heard Kira talk in this episode, all I heard was my own voice as the Wicked Witch of the West.
Is this that episode?
Yeah.
Yes.
You did that?
Yeah. And I hear Thomas Riker as a female pirate. So that's good. But all right, let's bring in Dave Mater. He's got a lot to say about this.
I also have this poster here, so I wanted to bring that.
Oh, he's got the original poster that we did.
So yes, we did this on Radio Theater way back when. I guess it was August of last year. And Jeff, yeah, you were Kira Nerys in this episode. Jessica Chan as Thomas Riker, who did a pirate rendition, as I recall. I was Cisco. I don't even remember that.
Didn't you do Chadwick Boseman? Hadn't he just died? And
that's right. I did. Yeah, I did the Black Panther version of Cisco. Yeah, that's right. And then Michael Chan was the Barney version of Gul Dukat. It was a really interesting episode. I have not listened to that one in a long time, but yeah, this one, this was bringing back all of that because this was pretty early in our Radio Theater days. I think this was like our 10th one we did or something like that. So
might be our best one.
Might be. But hi, I'm Dave. I'm Dave.
Dave, well, you got a lot to say about this episode. I mean, what can you say that has not already been said?
Jeff, we're just getting started here tonight. This episode is got a lot to it. It is maybe one of the most significant episodes of Deep Space Nine, of all of Star Trek in the 90s, perhaps, because it ties so much together.
Big words.
But before I really dive in, I think we need to say hello to someone else.
We got coming down the pipe, Jaemeel Robinson, bow. To Hari Krishna, how are you? To the emissary of the prophets, how are you? Okay.
No mic.
We can't hear you, Jaemeel. Maybe you gotta turn that up.
You have to put your volume sliders up. You put them up.
You punch it? Do you punch it?
Punch it.
Although he uses engage just like another person we know.
Who?
Tom.
Oh, Tom. Yes, he does use engage. Yes, Tommy Riker. And that's what this episode's all about. It's all about, you know what? TNG's over. Jonathan Frakes, guess what? Not getting any movie roles. So let's get.
Wait, he did it. This was his first year in a movie. He'll be in a feature movie like this month. This came out.
What I mean is less work. He's getting less work on a day-to-day.
He's directing now. His directing career is taking off. Jonathan Frakes is doing really well.
Oh yeah, Dave. The last episode we did last week, he directed that episode. We gave it a 1. I gave it a 1. Kevin gave it a 1. I think Ashley gave it somewhere.
He had his hands full. He was in a movie. He was directing a really bad episode, and he was going to be starring in the next episode.
I didn't even give it a 1.
He gave it a half of a 1, Dave.
Just imagine if this was a different director, it probably would have been worse.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
This episode is good. But I do say, I mean, it does it's like, he's one of the only guys that came back, like, you know, from there's no Crusher episode or there's no Data episode of Deep Space Nine, you know.
Well, there was the episode where Bashir came to TNG though, and he hung out with Data. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, he hung out with Data. That was why did they pick Bashir? Like, it was a weird pick.
It was not. It was a weird crossover because that relationship never continued. But
Right.
Yeah.
And no one else in the TNG staff likes jazz.
yeah, a 5,
Right.
6, 7, 8.
So
Is it-
so Cisco couldn't go.
No, Cisco can't. Well, yeah, that's a whole other bottle of wax. Speaking of which, Cisco in this episode, guys, let's go over to Jaemeel since he's just hopped on here. Is this we were kind of talking before, is this kind of the dude, where's my car of Deep Space Nine episodes where somebody steals your car and now you got to go get it back, but you got to go do all sorts of other things to you know, and you know, hilarity ensues.
Adventures in babysitting.
Adventures in babysitting. It's like the same script. What do you think of that comparison, Jaemeel?
Well, if I had some Edwin Starr at the end of this episode, I would loved it a lot more. But it didn't. I still like this episode a lot. It was like a kind of halfway fish out of water, but Cisco didn't really feel uncomfortable. It was more Gul Dukat, which was weird, seeing that it's like on Cardassia, but he just seemed to be like relaxed. Or like Cisco was relaxed and Gul Dukat was just kind of weirdly unnerved due to the Obsidian Order's interference. But yeah, straight up, the dude got jacked. He got fooled by Tom, and you know, there was egg on his face, so he had to get retribution.
But he wasn't the only one. You know, Dax and Kira, obviously, especially Dax. Dax had hung out with the other William Riker. Yes, they're identical, but there had to be some tells. You know,
Well, but there was, because she gave a weird look to him when he left Ops.
yes,
She said, "Are you here to borrow more money?" And he had no idea what she was talking about. And
But
then he
Right.
left, and she kind
But
of
he-
gave him a look.
but he played it off pretty good. He played.
He did.
Yeah.
And then O'Brien was also a little like, what just happened?
O'Brien should know better. Like,
O'Brien should know better.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah.
Ashley, if you had a clone and you acted funny, I'm like, is this the clone? Like,
Listen,
it would be my first response.
O'Brien knows he has a clone.
After a while, though, with all the suffering and all the people being shitty to you, it's just like wallpaper, right? Like, you don't even see it anymore. You're just like, that's how people treat me, and you keep on walking.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that's how my wife treats me. Will must really love me.
I love my wife.
Yeah. It's the most lovely wife in the universe day.
It's
Most wonderful,
the most lovely
wife.
commander in the universe.
I always change it. I can never get it right. But yeah, there's some interesting aspects to this episode, especially from the aspect of Kira. And we'll swing it over to maybe Ashley. What do you think of like the fact that she's kind of hanging out with a terrorist this whole episode, but she used to be a terrorist, you know, and now she's kind of have to kind of be like, you know, on the other side of things where you're trying to stop the terrorism before she was trying to, like, you know, do the terrorism. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing was interesting because she was playing it kind of cool. Like, she was almost like she was on their side, but also trying to sabotage without giving away that she was trying to sabotage, which is an interesting storyline because they're going against the Cardassians. So it's interesting that she's trying to sabotage their efforts against the Cardassians when a few years earlier she was doing the exact same stuff.
Yeah.
I have some issues at the end, but when we get to talk about the end, I will.
I looked here a
detail-
lot at the beginning when she yells at Bashir. That's really fun.
It's awesome.
And then
She's so pissed off.
Yeah, and then he grows a pair and stands up to her. That was interesting. It's just seems out of Bashir's character.
No, this is
What
like
a laugh.
the Julian
What a
Bashir.
laugh.
Yeah, this is the Julian Bashir we will come to know. But yes,
Yeah.
he this is not. It comes out of nowhere. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
Bashir, like you
Yeah.
can when he throws the card out where he's like, actually, I can go over Cisco's head, and you can't do shit about it. And I was like, oh, snap,
Yeah.
Bashir.
You're just waiting for her to break his nose
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And
She
she
has
wanted to.
She has
yeah.
a complete like oh shit moment where she realizes he's got her.
Julia,
Yeah.
please. She begged off like she was Ric Flair. She's like,
Yeah. she was like Quark in Alan Moraine.
Yes.
She'll be he'll be like, here's that just stick. You gotta
Yes.
eat this, and you gotta go
Gambling
whatever the hell
tokens. He's
But,
And-
gotta go
and a
gambling.
Holosuite.
Yeah, she
which
hates
I'm like,
holosuites.
wait, didn't we just see a couple episodes ago that she's like absolutely refuses to do anything with the holosuite? That just seems
Right.
out of character.
What-
He does say she only has to pick 2, so we can
Sure.
assume she's not going to pick the holosuite. She definitely picks the drink.
Yes.
It kind of makes
And the
sense
jumbo stick,
though
I see.
with Kira's character because, like, think about it. Like, she's basically only has 2 things on the station. She has her work and her religion. And that's it. Like she really doesn't have any R&R. She doesn't seem to. She goes to Bajor for that, but that's a trip. You know,
She's got Belial.
well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking more like Bashir and O'Brien play darts, and they're going to holodeck, and they're having fun. You know, like, and Quark and all these different characters seem to find time. Cisco loves
Cisco plays
baseball. Yeah, like, you know,
Dax
Worf.
likes, notches on her
No, she
bedpost.
spends with Dax.
But she doesn't like really have like a thing she does other than pray and work on the station. So
She
it does
lives
make
vicariously through Dax. Like Dax talks about all the guys she's seen, or girls too, who probably knows. And
Right.
she's like, and Kira's like, oh my god, I can't believe you'll go out with that Galamite, with the and that's what Kira does. And then Kira goes to church,
right. And but then
Praise for
also
Dax.
and she
yeah,
deals with Byzadiums, and Byzalians. I looked it up. It's the only mention of either species in any episode of Star Trek ever, and they're both at the very beginning. Very confusing because they're very similar.
right. Well, maybe they just wanted to throw you a curveball, Dave. That was the
I was
whole
like,
point.
would it be Byzaliums and Byzaniums? Are you telling me that they both were involved here? They were.
Yeah.
Right.
I right, but that's kind of
Okay.
get off my point about Kira. We do we do have a moment here where yes, what Dave is talking about, where Kira and Dax talk about their kind of like relationship things, and then but they talk mostly about William Riker, and Dax, you know, is kind of like interested to see if Kira is interested, and this kind of this kind of banter is going on. Yes, for sure. But we have the scene with Riker and Cisco in the office, and he charms the crap out of him. It's just that he would make a great con man. It makes a lot of sense to do this episode because even Riker on TNG, he is kind of like, he's always smiling, and there's always seems to be that perfect twinkle in his eye, and everybody seems to kind of get along with him. And there it is. He's got that like he looks like he's looking at a vista of mountains, but he's looking at a wall.
His back was hurting him and he was leaning forward.
Yeah. But this is the type of thing, and to make him a con man was, I think, a fantastic use of the William Riker character. Not even so much Jonathan Frakes, but just the character that we know on TNG. I was like, man, if they'd ever turned him or made him evil in some way, which they did by making a clone.
He's not a clone.
Well, he's sort of a clone.
He got the bum rap. I've always been a Thomas Riker defender, and I will
here we go. This
Okay,
is what you wanted to talk about, isn't it? Is the Thomas Riker of it all, that he got the short end of the stick. Thomas
Riker was split off from who we consider to be the real William Riker. But guess what? Neither is real. They're both William T. Riker. Just one got to live on a planet by himself for 8 years with nothing but like what? What would he have to do? Like I guess he had the computer so he could watch movies.
No, did he even have that?
I don't know. Probably not. He might be a little bit crazier, right? But basically, he had this whole life. He was like in his 20s when this happened to him. He was he was adult, but he gets back and the other version of him who got to live it is now a famous Starfleet officer. And you don't get promoted because even though he got promoted right afterwards, the other Riker
he doesn't have the experience, dude.
But he would have got promoted too. He would have got promoted to lieutenant commander.
Know that.
Yeah, because it was right after that mission that he got promoted.
And he didn't complete the mission. There you go.
Well, he did complete the mission, but what?
Only one of them completed the mission.
And it's for me. I have to deliver something, and deliver it to the door, and get back in my car. If I deliver it and I don't get in the car, the job's not done.
It's just like the John McCain argument, like he's not the hero because he got captured or something. Like he's like, no, I don't like the guy who gets beamed down.
John McCain,
right? It's the Trump, yeah, the Trump.
I
don't like guys that get stuck on planets for 8 years. I like guys that luckily did not get stuck on planets.
Yeah, he got to go off and be on the on the hood, and then eventually on the Enterprise.
If he got off the planet himself, he would have got promoted. He didn't, so too bad. Too sad.
Hot dogs are for closers. That's how it is. I see.
I had some hot dogs.
Okay, but here I'm going to talk about Thomas Riker. Okay, but he's basically the same guy, right? He had the whole relationship with Troy,
the same guy,
right? But then he went off and then he joined the Maquis. Okay, and then how does that color not just the guy who we think of as Thomas Riker, but the actual William Riker, like that he would have also made these choices had he been left on the planet. So.
Right. But he was smart enough to.
No, he was smart enough. He was lucky enough not to be
lucky enough. I don't know. I think we got a case of the twin syndrome. So William T. Riker is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Thomas Riker is Danny DeVito. So that's what I think what happened.
We were making milkshakes here.
We've compared this episode already to Dude, Where's My Car, the movie Twins, and Die Hard.
Oh, sorry. Political U.S. figures as well.
Oh, yes.
McCain.
Yeah, we have all kinds of things. We're just getting started here with Defiant.
The metaphors are for days on this episode. The whole exchange here that we have when William Riker finally takes over, or Thomas Riker, takes over the Defiant. Where, basically Kira's showing him around because she's like, I got nothing else going on. All I got is God, and Julian's telling me to have more fun these days. So, I might as well, have some fun.
Trial's not good. We can't count that as a positive for her.
She even mentions it. She mentions I'm in a relationship, and Dax is like, whatever. He sucks.
Dax is over him or well.
Like we all know it. We all know it's not right.
Jeff, I have a question.
With a wet blanket isn't relaxing.
Yeah. Jeff, I have a question to you. Do you think that Kira brought Thomas Riker onto the Defiant to close?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Thank you. Same thing I was thinking.
Yeah, she was
trying to close.
She was trying to close. I think that I don't think they include. Well, okay, Dave. I don't think they include the scene at the beginning with like where you guys are talking about with Dax and Kira talking about the fact that is Riker cute? I gambled with him. He's a lot of fun. Like all the conversation that they have sets up this kind of date, and also the scene with Bashir where he basically tells her stop working, have fun, let your guard down. Is basically what he says, and then that's exactly when this happens. So it's a perfect moment for a con man to come in and complete this con. But it's not just, yes, I agree with what Jameel's saying, that I think she was seeing where it was going to go, like, let's go on a date kind of thing. Like, let's see, like, if I like you and that kind of a thing.
She's exploring her options. She's not like after Bareil did the whole thing with now Kai win. She's like, I'm not so sure about if Vedic Bareil's for me. Maybe William Riker, this handsome Starfleet officer that everyone loves. Maybe it's the idea of them two as a romantic thing is kind of strange. It's strange.
How is it strange?
Yeah, it's
Riker, right?
Yeah,
and
Kira.
It's two first officers.
It's two first officers.
I would say she's breathing, and he seems interested. I think it's all the elements of like even a fling for Riker.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. I think
And
maybe
Kira doesn't has gotten with she gets with lots of people in this show. Not as much as Dax, but Dax would have sex with Morg.
well, I
Morg.
think Cisco gets around too, right? A little bit.
No, he kind of just has Cassidy Yates, doesn't he? That's about it.
Well, when he goes to the mirror universe, I think he banged the intendant. I think he was with the mirror Dax. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but all bets are off in the mirror
Yeah,
universe.
Mirror universe.
It
He
doesn't
probably
count.
mirrored Jennifer Cisco.
It's like being on a break, okay? It's a mirror universe.
In the mirror universe, it's like Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Vegas
happens
or
in the mirror
Vegas.
universe stays in mirror universe.
Sin
Because
City.
after being in the mirror universe and banging all the female Deep Space Nine people, he gets back and never talks to them about it ever.
Do you think in the mirror universe that Vegas is
happen.
like the
Cisco
Vatican?
does. He never talks to like
It's like the
Dax
Vatican.
about.
No, he doesn't.
Well, maybe because I do think they make it kind of pretty clear in in the mirror universe stuff, especially in Deep Space Nine, that once they figure out that like yes, it's a copy or it's the same person, but it's not. Like they look at them as different people. Even though they look exactly the same, they're not the same person whatsoever.
But do you think he should not mention it?
I don't know. I guess he probably should have, but it's not. Is it a violation of Prime Universe Dax? So I don't really
Wait, sorry,
see
what are we
how it's her
talking- what are we
business.
ta- what are we talking
like
about?
Cisco sleeping with Mirror Universe.
Okay, well that's for
counterpart.
that episode. I think that is an ethical dilemma. I think we will have to talk about the morality of it, but
Well,
I
everyone
think-
do your homework and prepare when
Yeah.
the episode.
that's a bit that's for that episode. I do
What
wanna
is
talk-
worse, a hollow reproduction or mirror?
I say hollow.
I think the hollow reproduction. I think a mirror universe the copy of you isn't really you. It's a different person. It's a different brain. It might be a copy.
Thomas
but
Riker is a different person than William T. Riker, but they were the
Right.
same person up until a certain point in history, right?
Whereas a mirror universe person is what? Not a copy.
No, it's just a counterpart from another dimension. It's not the
Right.
same person whatsoever.
Right. So So
It's not the same. It's not quite the same thing, but yes, Thomas Riker. It's this whole idea of the Maquis, because Voyager was going to come out a couple months after this, right? So they're also setting it up here with this whole thing. The Defiant gets shown off in a big way in this episode. Star Trek Generations is coming out like a month after this episode airs. Like this is kind of like pinnacle peak Star Trek era, like this,
Can I say one thing about the Maquis? I feel like the Maquis, the show, especially both Voyager and Deep Space Nine, do a very poor job of showing us who the Maquis were, where they live, how they organized, what kind of ship. It's always like they come in a story, they leave. They never really kind of nailed down like where was Chakotay living, where was he from, why did they show us, in some sort of a lost type flashback or those type of things. I think would have been really smart for Voyager to do before Lost, because basically Voyager is lost in Star Trek.
Right. That's brilliant. If they had actually done Voyager in the style of Lost, where they were all like this mishmash crew that just ended up in the Delta Quadrant together, and then like Tom Sawyer is I'm thinking of Tom Paris is like a Sawyer type of character.
Yeah. There's no rules. There's no Starfleet.
This is the reimagined reboot of Voyager. Where
We're redoing Voyager,
but it's lost.
But it's
Who's
lost.
B'Elanna?
B'Elanna is Ana Lucia.
Oh no, John Locke. John Locke.
Don't tell me what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
No, that would be Bob Picardo, the Doctor.
Kate would be Janeway.
Who would be Cass? Libby?
Kess is what's his
Libby,
name? What's the twin guy that gets killed?
Boone?
Yeah, Boone.
Boone.
Kess is Boone.
Kess is Boone.
Yes.
What do you think, Kevin and Ashley, the tag team couple?
No idea.
Yeah,
What
we
do you
only
what do you
watched
think
an episode or two of Lost. We don't know.
you never watched Lost.
No,
Oh,
the-
no.
So for anybody who doesn't know about Lost, our whole bit was not entertaining.
Yes.
No. But
But
I do
if
think
you
it would have
haven't
been a
watched
good
Lost
idea.
and you're thinking about watching Lost, what you should do is savor it like wine, an episode at a time. Don't binge it. You will hate it.
Yeah, it's not a bingey show at all.
No.
It was not made to be binged.
We watched like 2 episodes and then never went back to it. It
The
just
pilot?
yeah, like we watched a couple of episodes.
You're
and
like
then-
the pilot, and you were out.
yeah,
I
we just
guess.
never went back to it. Like
Wow,
it just didn't
It's
hook us
considered one of the
enough.
best pilots ever made.
That's good.
Look,
Not-
eh.
eh, eh.
Anyways, yeah.
Voyager as lost. If
Closing.
they had done flashbacks, gets back to my point about the Maquis. The Maquis kind of suck, and I don't think they explain them very well. And
I really appreciate it. Was really ambitious what they were trying to do, and they were trying to make the Maquis more sympathetic or seem more sympathetic, but they were trying to rush it in too fast. And looking back on it now, when you can compare it to like modern TV crossovers, like what we see in Marvel Cinematic Universe and kind of stuff, this looks not so good. The Maquis do look incredibly one-dimensional. I can't believe, like, I know Jaemeel wants to talk about the end too, but I can't believe that Kira is allowed to fly off in command of the Defiant with this Maquis crew around her, who are then going to be turned over to like the authorities. It's insane to me after everything that happens in this episode. They stole the ship and they destroyed a whole bunch of military targets. Justifiably or
See,
not.
mine isn't even about that. Riker is about to leave, and then he looks over at Kira, walks up to her, and just dives into her mouth, right? And and then he's like, yeah, he just dives in.
But
He's
also,
like,
also this
"Man, I'm already going to jail."
this scene came after him saying, "Make sure that they get a fair trial." She has nothing to do with that. She's not in the Federation.
I know.
And
she can tell Cisco
She
though.
can put a
like,
word in. She could write a
He's
letter.
like, yeah,
he can
yeah, I'll
say-
do what I can.
he can be like, yeah, I'll do what I can to him. But how is he ever going to know that they get a fair trial? He's going to be in a Cardassian labor camp for the rest of his life.
Oh, I don't
Like,
think he really
she's like,
cared. I think
oh yeah, for sure. I'll make sure they get a fair trial. And then as soon as she gets across the border, she's like, fuck these people, murder them all.
Murder
That's
that.
what
Look,
he says.
but also as she's a freedom fighter and like has a hatred for the Cardassians, knowing that there's I hate the fact that Tom really didn't go into detail about what he was looking for and what was supposedly there.
Yeah.
Like she would be interested. She would be interested that the Obsidian Order, right, who would in many ways is more worse than the Cardassian military, is possibly having its own fleet and is going to wipe out the Maquis like capture them and possibly like torture them or like wipe them out, just like how they were treating the Bajorans. Well,
Sorry,
Words.
I hit the wrong button there. Sorry.
you mute me?
Yeah, I did. I guess I tried to. It was right next to my stop video button. Sorry. I think she is interested. She's not disinterested in what he's saying or whatever. But I think from the moment he phasers her, takes over the ship, runs off, I don't think she doesn't care. She's like, I don't care what you're about. I don't care who you are. And the fact that you're with the Maquis is ridiculous because you clearly don't fit in with their type.
So she should just take over.
Well, she's not about it. She's like, you stole my ship or our ship. And I'm just, whatever you're going to say, I'm going to try to de-escalate this because that's my duty. And so she can't really do anything else but what she kind of does.
Yeah, but
I would figure she
that's
would
good.
be sympathetic.
That's the whole point of the episode, I think, is to kind of like watch her struggle with it. She doesn't do it
I don't
overly.
think
Like
they did a good job of her.
I think she viewed him as an imposter.
right.
which is fair.
Because and he also fooled her and
Conned her.
everybody else. Conned
He's
her.
the Sawyer.
Anybody who gets conned is,
But she's the real terrorist and he's the imposter.
Yeah.
Like he's just playing games with what she lived. And I think it
Should've called her
irritates her.
Starfleet the entire episode.
right.
Well-
That's a good point. Kevin,
And
for sure.
the Maquis are these like other than Chakotay, who is a Boy Scout, he's like his people were actually displaced. He's got the most credibility. He would maybe pass Kira's first test. You're not from that place. You don't have family in the zone. Why are you in this fight? Like Chakotay can answer that. But people like Eddington and Tom Riker, and maybe even B'Elanna Torres cannot. Like they're not really from there. They just joined up because they were like, this is unjust. We don't like this. So they're more politically radical.
That's the point. Is I do think that the Maquis show us a side of Starfleet that isn't willing to always obey orders and follow what a bunch of people in a room and on Earth decide where a border will be drawn, thousands of light years away, that will impact real people living in those places. So eventually, I think a lot of people that serve that military say, well, this is messed up. I don't want to do that anymore, which is very true to real life. Now, so I do agree with you, Dave. I do think the Maquis were introduced a little too fast. They didn't flesh them out. That's the problem. Like, we don't really know why Eddington felt the way he did. We don't get an Eddington episode. We
get a couple, but it's like, it's not enough.
He loves fresh tomatoes. That's all we get. That's why he does it, because he loves fresh tomatoes.
Javert.
That's our Eddington episode, and it's really a Cisco episode. We needed a solo Eddington episode to really explain.
No, never.
Flashback. It'd be like
Ashley doesn't want more Eddington. She's not calling for it.
So I think we needed sorry,
Jeff. Do you think that Kirk would sympathize and join the Maquis?
Would Kirk?
No.
If they killed his boy, like against the Klingons, I think yes.
Only then.
Only then.
Then yes. If it affected him personally, I absolutely could see Kirk doing it. Spock, no. Spock's too by the book.
McCoy would be about the Maquis. He would get it. He'd be like, you
for
damn cold-blooded people. You don't understand. People are here on the frontier. They gotta live.
McCoy is a country doctor. He also likes fresh tomatoes.
Yeah, and Scotty would probably be with the Maquis too, because he likes a good fight. Scotty likes a good fight.
Nah, but Scotty's all about living on ships. He doesn't care about the Maquis.
He's gonna. Yeah,
that's true. He does like living on ships. That's his thing.
Yeah, so like they're kind of like this, like they're always presented to be, they are on the wrong side of this. That's how the writers want us to understand the Maquis. Like they're on the wrong side of this fight, but it's easy to be sort of on the wrong side. You can kind of see how people could, for various motives and reasons, end up over here. Like, and I think that there was some fiction, some books, I think, where they talked about how Chakotay and Tom Riker planned this whole thing together, where they stole the Defiant together, and that would have been amazing to like set up here on Deep Space Nine. Mm-hmm. Then that leads into Voyager, right? Like you can always like rewrite this show in like a 2020 or 2021 sort of like mindset or format of how they would do this kind of stuff. Maybe now.
In that instance, would Chakotay somehow be? He would have to leave, or he splinters off. He joins one of the crews that does the what's it called again? The distraction, I assume.
Yeah, like they could have had, this could be a two-parter, and you could have had like sort of that character, Chakotay's character introduced here, right?
And you could have introduced the whole Tuvok as a spy thing, and you could have done stuff like that, that they do in Voyager, but like they just explain it real quick, like because they have to get Voyager across the Delta, across the quadrant, across the galaxy by the end of the pilot.
And they have to try to differentiate the shows as quickly as possible. Like okay, this is a new show and it's not related to the old show, so like. But
it's the same universe.
Will say like hello in the first episode, and that's
right. But I think that was a kind of a not very imaginative way to do it, because you clearly are having a shared universe here. You're having shared characters. Yes, you want to separate them, but that doesn't mean you can't kind of get to know them before the show starts. When a show starts, bang, exactly. Look at all these shows here that it takes 2 or 3 seasons for the show to find its legs. But if you have a show and then you kind of have an idea for another show, you can maybe slowly introduce characters like kind of like TNG did with O'Brien. They're like, okay, O'Brien, go to the next show. I know, and Worf ended up going too. That's I think a better way to go.
That's what Discovery has done that with Strange New Worlds.
They were kind of following the model of the time. Like when you had a sitcom spin-off, you'd have like one crossover episode and then you'd never see anybody from the first show again. Unless the ratings started to dip in like season 4 or 5.
Right.
But I think Star Trek did this better than anybody else at the time. Like, and you compare it to franchises like Power Rangers, which is a lower quality to start, objectively.
Star Trek, Power Rangers,
And then all the other Power Rangers derivatives that come after, which I think, no offense, Jaemeel, but like some of the they get it's diminishing returns each time.
After Power Rangers in space, you can say that they're not necessarily intertwined as connected, but up until that point, they are.
Yeah, but
that's about 5 or 6 iterations.
And there was also what's another science fiction franchise around that time? Like
Babylon 5?
Stargate, Babylon 5. No one did it. Star Trek did it better than anybody, right? Like this Thomas Riker episode, this Defiant episode was great because it is a crossover of themes. At least you got the Maquis here, you got Tom Riker, who's a derivative of Will Riker, or connected character that we've already been introduced to. And he's here too, and there's a Fate here, and there's a Deep Space Nine episode in itself. So it's kind of cool having all these crossovers of movies and TV.
The spanned 3 of the series. The Maquis started in TNG.
Right, right, exactly. And it's so even though it could be more, Jeff, it's for the time for 1994. This was kind of revolutionary.
No, I totally get it, and it is good. I'm not crapping on it. I'm just trying to find a way to make it better.
There's definitely room for improvement, but
as far as the Maquis is concerned,
yes, it's mainly the Maquis. To me, it just seems like also what you said before. It's like we're told by the writers of this show that the Maquis are bad, but I don't think that was a good way to tell the story of the Maquis. Why can't they tell us a story of the Maquis from the Maquis' perspective? It's always from the Starfleet perspective.
I don't think that they implied that they're bad. No,
that they're misguided. I'm sorry, not bad. Misguided. That they, this, like Dave said before, that this fight is not worth fighting. It's kind of a lost cause.
Their methods are dubious at best. Like because they're doing bad things.
And then they're doing bad things for this lost cause. It's not even worth fighting. Is mostly what they talk about in the show. They kind of always say the Maquis. That's not. You can't fight the Cardassians. You're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anything out of bombing a Cardassian military facility.
This is
it's just making them more angry.
Look at terrorism as a tactic, and what does it mean, right? Too, right? This is pre 9/11. This is a whole different era. Like looking at the concept of when you think your cause is just, and you use this as a tactic to using violence to enact political means or pressure. Like what is sort of the morality of that, and like that it could, from a certain point of view, it's just. From another point of view, it's completely abhorrent.
Right.
I'm just saying that if they were trying to present the Maquis crew as being bad, then there would have been a scene where one of the crew members, like the female crew member of the Maquis, would have stood up to Kira. Kira would have said something, and you would get the swipe punch, and then Kira would fall to the ground. They would establish that character. The fact that they did not do that means that they were pretty even kind of neutral on them. They didn't even want to present that much of a character to the remaining Maquis crew members. It was just Tom front and center.
Plus, they heal Kira's like burn, so like they're also helping her. They're letting her sit on the bridge and talk to them, which they do not have to do.
But I think what the Maquis do is create a common enemy for these two, in Sisko and Dukat, who I think in this episode in particular begin to become the Sisko Dukat that we will come to know. They go toe to toe in this meeting room where where Dukat realizes that that Tom Riker on Maquis has like the Defiant.
The best scene, the best reaction, Dave. You're missing the best part of that is Dukat, where he's just like the disbelief. He's just like, what? and then he turns. He goes, oh. And he just has this like huge sigh, and he's just so disgusted with Sisko that he could allow a terrorist to steal his ship.
From under his nose.
He's so disappointed in Sisko. He's just like, you suck. You know, like that's kind of what he thinks of him.
Nemesis.
Yeah, he's like it's like the Joker finding out Batman can't solve a crime. You know,
someone
like,
got into the Batcave. There was
Yeah.
there was an
Yeah.
unlocked door. Behind
somebody stole the Batmobile. You know, and the Joker's just like, "What are you doing?"
But not just somebody stole the Batmobile. Somebody stole the Batmobile because Robin was like, "Yeah, come sit in the Batmobile." Try it
Yeah. That's
And then-
exactly what happened. Yeah.
Took it. Yeah.
But it was Bizarro's Superman posing as Superman. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew when
And
he said
everyone
goodbye.
notices that
He
has
said
the
hello when he
Bizarro
left.
rock.
And then Robin makes up with him and he gets his car back. It's
But you
weird.
don't
I think this could work as a comic book.
right for Robin.
Right there. It's a
It's a new comic
reimagining.
book right
A
there.
reimagining.
But the Ducat and Cisco stuff is pretty significant in this. And
Yeah.
and Cisco goes to Cardassia. He's like, "You're gonna come with me and you're gonna help me destroy the Defiant." I'm like, "We just got the Defiant.
Yeah.
This is the episode they named Defiant." Interestingly enough, they could have called it other things, but they.
But it's a great name for the episode because Thomas
Yeah,
Riker
it's tough.
is Defiant. The ship is the Defiant. You could say like Cisco is kind of being defiant. Him and Ducat against the Obsidian Order.
Kira's being defiant to Tom.
Yeah. There's a lot of defiance going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone's defiant. No one's compliant.
No one's compliant, except maybe O'Brien.
I want
Do
to
you
check
guys-
both compliant.
Do you guys think that Ducat seeming like unsettled and nervous? Do you think he's nervous to look weak in front of Cisco or to look weak in front of the Obsidian Order?
Is Ducat?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think he's more baffled. He's just like he's just like kind of like, oh, I didn't realize the Obsidian Order had this much power. It's kind of how he acts in some ways. Like he's
kind of like playing the audience too, because we're
Yes.
learning about what they are a little bit
Right.
more too.
yes,
This is
and-
Coronus, right? We haven't seen her before.
No, the female
like-
Cardassians often have like the teal in their little like forehead hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was only in this one episode. Trisha O'Neill played her, who also played Captain Rachel Garrett in yesterday's Enterprise. Welcome back.
Oh,
Oh.
Captain Rachel Garrett.
And she was also a woman Klingon, another female Klingon character named Karak. I don't know. Anyway, so Trisha O'Neill plays her, but yeah, like I think she was really good in the role. Like she was really evil. She's like, what do I have to do? Be this evil Cardassian, like CIA, KGB kind of character.
Yeah.
Who pulls the strings. I runs the secret police thing, and it's this whole thing where she just like that you won't fire on the Cardassian ship. She's like, and she's just like, she's fun. Like I think that they did a good job even fleshing out the Obsidian Order more than the Maquis.
And I do, yeah, and it's a great, also at the time, like making this metaphor to basically covert intelligence. What wasn't on TV all the time. So I mean,
Yeah.
Star Trek was doing a great job in that way.
Yeah, like it's just I think that also like the whole scene with like even Cisco and Ducat where he's like, where's my son's birthday's today, but I can't. I'm here
right.
talking to you. It sucks.
I was
Yeah.
expecting a scene where Cisco's like, "Don't worry, I'll stay here and work on it. You go home and see your boy." And then you see Gul Dukat just running. "I'm coming, Jimmy. Marco, I'm coming." He grabs a baseball from the gift shop.
Yeah, Cisco just pulls a baseball out of his uniform. He's like, "Give him this from me."
Yeah. I know baseballs to all the kids.
Baseball
on
out,
the
he puts
shore.
it on Ducat's desk.
One thing that's so great about
He
Ducat,
knocks it off.
it's just like his indignation, like when he talks, like just like his cadence of his voice when he's like, "And you did not share this with the Central Command," just the way he says it is just so great. Like it's such a sing-songy like way he delivers his lines, and that's why I think Ducat is so effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's really good in this episode.
Yeah.
Like him and Avery Brooks are so strong. I think him like Ducat talks about having these 8 other kids he has, right? But we never see them in the show and how important they supposedly are to him. But I think
Right.
it's all kind of.
I think that's great though that they never showed them.
never show
until his daughter comes in, and then he drops all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
He's
it's just
the most important.
Yeah.
Because she's the only one on the show. So,
Yeah.
right.
You know, that's the thing. How is an actor going to act toward people that are never there?
Yeah. He also had a wife we never saw too, right?
Right.
But it's kind of like this whole thing with him where he's like, yeah, my son will look back with hatred, and this is how the cycle of hatred begins, right? Or this is how terrorism keeps it going, is also kind of the point of the scene, or the writing, you know?
Yeah.
But it also shows that Ducat's not that virtuous of a man. He's not going to be like, no, I teach my son to rise above it. No,
Well, most people don't blow up buildings because their dad had to work on their birthday one year.
No.
Like it's a little dramatic.
No. It's kind of like there's some great metaphors to the like what Starfleet and Cardassia has. They have all these ships and they have all this technology. The Maquis basically have nothing. They had to steal a ship just to have a chance to fight back. And that says something about the Maquis, I think, is, the other two, like Cardassians and Starfleet, they have all the power. They have all the responsibility, really, of making sure, people are safe, especially if they're Maquis, if they're Starfleet citizens. And then you draw a border and say, these people now have to leave because we drew this border. That's kind of messed up, like that.
Yeah.
You have decided now that you have to move. And I don't think, they never seem to really acknowledge, sometimes I find on the show, that was probably wrong, and they should probably fight to renegotiate. They never seem to care about that,
Right. But the Maquis also kidnap people, and they they don't ask nicely. They steal things. And then do they have sort of noble goals? Maybe, if you, depending on which one we're talking about. But there's also like Lon Suitor in the group, and you got like people who are just kind of like in it to kill people and hurt people as well. So it's
right. But it all kind of starts with a treaty, and so, and treaties seem to cause more damage as a repercussion of because without the treaty, maybe the Maquis doesn't start, maybe there's no terrorist attacks, maybe and then there's no escalation.
Yes, that's true. Like they're a product of sort of this political fallout and of history. But they, these people, I don't know. Like, I don't really get it. I don't really totally understand the economic and like geopolitical situation of this time that they live in. But it feels like, hey, why don't I just move to like a colony that's not on the Cardassian?
That's what they always say.
To grow tomatoes on.
Yeah,
like
Javert,
not these planets.
Javert needs to grow his tomatoes. They only seem to grow on this one planet that's just over the border of the demilitarized zone.
They prove it. Like, we'll talk about when we get to the episode with Javert or whatever the episode for the uniform, right? But the whole thing is that that Eddington's kind of crazy, right? Like he's doing it because he's kind of crazy, and a lot of these people are kind of like rogues.
They're unhinged.
Yeah. Chakotay is like the only and maybe B'Elanna Torres, like they're the best most noble examples because they're main characters and they have to be sort of likable or sort of at least connect. They couldn't be completely
like
bad.
Seska's the evil.
Well,
Seska,
she's Cardassian.
yeah,
but she's also Maquis, right? No, she was a infiltrator.
She was a
Bajoran,
yes.
Yeah.
She was surgically altered to look Bajoran and enter the Maquis, but she was a Cardassian spy.
She was a flip Kira.
She was kind of like Kira, in the abandoned,
Yeah.
Not the abandoned episode. I
Yeah.
forgot what it was called.
Right. Well, like even in the episode in Star Trek Insurrection, which is not a great movie, but it's kind of the same. It's like a micro version of the same thing where Picard's like, no, I'm not going to do what Starfleet's telling me. I'm going to protect these people.
Mhm.
Right. These colonists, it's a little bit like that where it's like who are we to decide that they get to leave? And like, maybe they want to stay. Maybe that's worth fighting for. And
The line must be drawn here.
The line must be drawn here.
The line must be drawn here.
This for them, I guess. Right.
That's something that came to him later because he was doing in TNG. He was attempting to relocate a Native American on planets that the Cardassians decided was theirs, and it was Wesley Crusher that stood up to it before he got into the white van with the Traveler.
Right. But maybe, well, Picard might have learned from that experience too and changed his opinion.
Oh, and then we never. Ashley, you just made my
played a
point
flute
because
right
we never
after.
should have gotten that Traveler.
No singing
know.
in this
The
episode.
worst thing ever I've watched in TNG is when Wesley Crusher comes back and he's all hippie out and he's like, "I'm just gonna go be a traveler for a while. See you later."
The planets of existence, Mom. See ya.
Yeah, Mom.
Flip glasses.
I've done a lot of acid. I've seen the stars. I know what's up. Oh, it's so bad. Anything else on this episode, guys? Is there
So
anything-
much. What do you mean?
We haven't got
Is
to
there
the ending.
anything
You guys really want to talk about the ending?
else? The ending. Yes. Well, like Jaemeel talked about it.
Okay.
The fact.
Cisco's able to negotiate that type of deal without contacting Starfleet Command.
Yeah.
That's-
Even Ducat for his end of the deal, he's like, I have to clear this with like the
you got
justice.
15
people.
seconds.
He's like, you got 2 minutes to call your Justice Department and get this cleared. Like, I don't
Wait, what?
like. It's weird but like, it feels like Ducat has more leverage here in this deal, right? Like, like, hey, we'll just destroy your ship and then we'll figure out what the hell's going on with this Obsidian Order business. But
Oh yeah, the Cardassians just look at the Defiant as a threat to their
right.
their
So
holdings.
the Cardassians have more like they want to get the sensor logs, but they I think it's kind of convenient. It's a little it doesn't, but they have to wrap this up. In 45 minutes.
Cardassian lives are at risk, Dave.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if the Maquis care about that. Even like when he gives the orders, he's like, "Do it!" Like she looks at him like, "I don't want to do it. I don't want to do anything here with the Maquis. They suck." But I don't get a lot of lines in this episode. I'm being paid scale, so it's there's not as much to do here. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I forgive you. Why didn't they kind of push into the Solaris system? Orion system. sorry.
Orion system, because
Orion
they thought these super fast, powerful Keldon class ships came out, and they were like, "Oh shit, we can't mess with
But
that."
wait, couldn't they just use their sensors as well? Because
They
they're
s-
already as far as the Defiant was,
But
like just slightly behind.
Colonist was saying that no, if you try to come in the system, we will blow the hell out of you, right?
I know, but like the Defiant didn't get to the system.
they were
but
under cloak.
They were close enough to scan it.
Yeah.
So
That's the story they go with in this.
Sensor logs.
yeah, just
Yeah. It's
couldn't they just edge a little bit closer in their turn and just kind of
Federation has different sensors. The Obsidian Order knows that the sensors that the Cardassians use and have themselves cloaked to those sensors, and the Federation has different sensors, so they were able to read stuff that the regular Cardassian ships couldn't.
that is a good answer.
better sensors.
That's a better answer. This right there. That's you. Tap yourself on the back.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Like, but they don't really explain that part. But regardless, like, okay, the other emotional part of this episode for me, Jeff, is Thomas Riker ends up in a Cardassian labor camp, and then that's it. There's like
See
they
you
had
later.
another 4 seasons after this. They could have dealt with it. They were
And
like,
where was
never.
Thomas Riker during those 4 seasons, Dave?
No, like they've never.
So
they,
where was he? Where was he during those 4 seasons?
he was probably in the Cardassian
Rotting away in a Cardassian labor
I
camp.
think the
Yes.
moral of this episode is that Thomas Riker just doesn't know how to succeed.
That's true.
That's and that's it. And
And he goes on a mission and ends up abandoned on a planet, having to do manual labor.
I also think they're making the point. They're also making the point that even though you have charm, you have to have like actual smarts and a good plan. Because
one-
I mean,
Once is bad luck. Twice. That's your fault.
no,
exactly.
his plan was. I mean, he had a cloaked ship. He could have went anywhere in the galaxy. He's like, no, I'm going to go immediately to where everyone thinks I'm going to go and try and blow things up. You know, like he could have played the long game. He could have like had the ship for like months and gone wherever he wanted to cloaked. He could have went to the Gamma
How long
Quadrant.
did he have the ship for?
Probably like a day, like at most.
I think he had it for a week.
No way.
No,
Well,
they don't.
wait,
they
how
don't.
long would it take him to get to Cardassia? That's one thing.
Not long. It's like in Star Trek Online, Bajor and Cardassia are they're barely a sect.
It's not canon, Dave.
And in Star Trek Online, Thomas Riker comes in on a bunch of stories.
Also, Kira is okay with Tom going to a labor camp over death.
Yeah,
I think that was like, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Wasn't it?
Kira would have been like, if I were you, I would die than go to a labor camp.
Wasn't it like maybe a season ago where O'Brien and her went to a Cardassian labor camp and broke people out?
It didn't look like it was good.
It didn't look like it was fun.
Yeah.
Is that Kira's plan? She's like, we're gonna get you out, Tom. She's like, I could prostitute myself and we'll figure out we have a plan.
Brian loves his wife.
Or
Brian plays a great IRA dealer, so we'll get him in there.
I love my parents and my women
and my wife and all the lasses from Ireland.
They have the Defiant now, so they can beam up more than one person at a time.
The whole room.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, like it's is it weird to you also that Tom Riker wears the uniform, the Starfleet uniform the whole time? Is that why
you were
think
going to complain about the pips?
Yes, I do think he should have changed at some point in the episode. And the second,
what do you mean? Why would I complain about the pips?
Because he's not a commander.
He's also not in the command division. He was like he was
He's a lieutenant though.
Yeah, he's pretending to be.
He didn't, but he was already out of the service. It was like the whole thing was a costume. He was pretending to be Commander Riker. He was not. He would have been wearing.
Why bother taking off the? Why taking off the stupid beard things, mutton chops, if you're just gonna prowl around in his uniform? you know
the whole removal of the,
anyway. Nobody thinks it's weird when someone shaves or changes. Like
you're not.
Why?
You're not William. You're Tom. It's like how can you tell? Well, you don't have a full beard.
Did nobody notice that there was hair stuck to his face? Like you know,
well, fake hair would be a tip off that it's not him, rather than no hair.
It is odd to be, like especially when they have holographic technology to pull off something similar. Probably
they can They make Kira look like a Cardassian.
Just wait a week while he grows the beard. Like
yes,
he can grow a beard. He doesn't need to glue hair to his face. He can grow a beard. If Will can grow a beard, Tom can grow a beard.
Seriously, was he planning this for like 8 hours?
Yeah, like he can grow a beard.
There's no time to grow a beard.
Had a shaving scene. We could have had a scene where like Kira was shaving him.
That's how Thomas rolls. He just went, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna steal a Defiant right now.
Yeah. let me just glue some hair to my face.
Oh my gosh.
It was so weird. But I think that was for the audience, like he's got a goatee. This is the Will Riker we know.
Well, the goatee is evil.
The goatee's evil. It's
mirror universe.
So if he come in just in the goatee, we would have been like, is this mirror Riker?
I think it would have been better if he had been in the mirror shaving.
Yeah.
It back to a goatee.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been better. See, that's what they wanted that like cut to commercial moment. But
yeah.
Yeah.
He just shaving and laughing into a mirror. That would have been awesome.
Oh, that would have been great.
I fooled them all.
Yeah. Just
she comes up behind him. She comes up behind him and she's like, "You did, Tom." You know, like that kind of thing. Yeah. That'd be way better.
That would be good.
But
I do think, okay, guys, I have one other quick thing. Riker at the end, like when he gives himself up and Sisko tells him like he has to go to the prison camp, and like he's just kind of like looking at Kira when he like beams away, just like his whole like acting. I'm just like, this guy just found out he's going to like the worst place he could go to, and he's just kind of like looking at Kira like, oh well.
That's so Riker though. That's so Riker.
Next time. Next time.
But you know, as soon as he like beamed into that Cardassian room, they probably punched him in the stomach and they probably threw him in a cell. They're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
He walked as soon as he beams to the Cardassian ship, though. I'm sure he's like, "So, is this labor camp co-ed? What are we doing here?"
Yeah. He just starts hitting on every Cardassian, even the men.
He is Riker.
Yeah,
like can we expect anything
someone
less?
scurries, like they move and they're like he starts glancing their way sexually. Yeah. That tail looks excellent, Rat.
Would you feel, because let me ask you this: if you found out that the clone of you was in a
clone,
he is kind of a clone.
he's a transporter duplicate.
It's kind of a clone.
Clone.
If a clone of you was in a Cardassian labor camp, wouldn't you want to maybe break that clone out, or would you be like, no, that's better? Can only be one William Riker. Like, wouldn't you feel compelled to save yourself?
No, Will
I don't
is too
know.
by the book. He would say he would see what he did to end up in that labor camp and would have been like, he deserves it.
Also, they didn't get along.
Yeah.
No, they don't, because
Gave him the trombone though.
no, they hated each other pretty much. But that's at the end of that episode. Yeah, Will gave him the trombone. He's like, oh, I'm not a dick. You're not a dick. Let's not.
He's like, I want that trombone back. Where is it? What my key hole do I have to track down to figure out what that's in?
That would have been a great scene if they just did like a mini short.
He sends a letter to Tom Riker. He's like, you dick, dear asshole. Way to besmirch the Riker name. It was so good before you ran off with the Defiant and murdered thousands of Cardassians.
We just
Stop
needed
screwing
one
with
scene of him going, he did what?
I want my trombone back. Yes, I married Troy. Fuck you.
yeah, and I ended up with Troy, even though I was the one who dumped her.
That's it. That's the letter. Hey, I ended up with Troy, and where did you end? Sucker.
Yeah.
I was the labor camp. I hope that kiss with Kira was lasting.
See, okay, instead of stealing the Defiant and like kind of doing this whole terrorist angle, this is what Thomas Riker really should have done. The real con he should have played was to swap him and the real William Riker. That should have been his goal, because if he could have in some way made it that, no, I'm the real William Riker, and actually was able to convince everybody that Thomas Riker is William Riker and William Riker is Thomas Riker. That would have been a good con, because then he could have taken his life and then put him in a Cardassian labor camp. Boom. That would have been the ultimate cat.
He drops it. He's a really evil version, this Tom Riker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, look where he ended up.
Well, he's misguided.
Yeah.
He's just not smart. He's not a good criminal.
Or terrorist.
Or terrorist. Yeah.
Or Starfleet officer, for that matter.
I mean, you have the opportunity.
He's not good at anything. He always ends up getting stranded on a planet.
He's the Danny DeVito.
He's the Danny DeVito.
Okay. He's the Batman who lets his Batmobile get stolen, and Robin shows him the key to the cars.
Right. I'll say this too. I always loved this character of Tom Riker. I thought he was really fun. I also loved like Ben Reilly in the Spider-Man continuity. Jaemeel knows
Spider,
like the whole maximum clonage and the idea, like that the fact that the Ben Reilly and Peter Parker had like the same memories up until a certain point, but then diverged as people, and sort of what is like how that's kind of an interesting science fiction narrative thing to sort of play with, right? And I think that the Tom and Will Riker thing was similar, because normally characters like that are introduced in Star Trek are killed. It's amazing they didn't kill Tom Riker in that episode. It's amazing that he lived to the end of this episode, but then they never brought him back. Because if you're not going to bring him back, then just kill him here or write him off in this episode. But they don't do that.
They sent him away to a prison, never to be heard from again.
There's still lower decks.
He's still
lower decks.
There's still lower
please.
decks.
Discovery now, they're like 900 and some odd years in the future, and they go to Cardassia or a planet around Cardassia and just find his skeleton in the ruins of a labor camp, and they're like, oh,
There's
that's
a trombone like made out of wood or something.
Somehow
Nightbird.
he's alive, and he's just been waiting for someone to rescue him for 900 years.
Yeah,
That would also be
He's
great.
still lieutenant.
Yeah.
no, never promoted.
That would actually be awesome.
Jeff, give us some fun facts, man.
Okay, let's get into the double F with Chad.
Wait,
Okay.
wait.
What?
You don't need the theme song.
You don't need the theme song. It's too long.
It's a double F with Jeff. That's how it goes.
Dave, I don't know if this is good.
You may proceed.
Okay, Thomas Riker calls the Defiant a tough little ship.
Not that
William
little.
T. Riker later calls it the same thing in First Contact.
Because they're the same person. They're not a clone, transporter, duplicate.
That
Makes
sounds like a
sense.
clone.
No. Nope. Even Crusher tells him, right? When we meet Tom Riker, he goes, but can brainwaves be cloned? And she's like, no. Remember that scene?
Oh,
Vaguely.
Wow. Okay, vaguely.
I remember.
get-
'Cause I think Crusher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were sure.
And I was like, brainwaves can't be cloned.
That they could be duplicated.
No, they're formed from early childhood, she said.
But you just said it was a transporter duplication.
It was.
So he's been duplicated. He's a duplicate.
He's a duplicate. He's not a clone.
He was like split.
Yeah, he's a.
Like a
Okay.
clone.
he's like,
Like a clone.
He's not like a clone. A clone is like a genetic duplicate, but it's not the same thing.
What's Tuvix?
Tuvix is a hybrid.
Transporter malfunction.
Damn
Amalgamated transporter humanoid.
He's a malfunction.
He's an anomaly, a genetic
Anomaly.
transporter anomaly, I guess.
All right,
That's
okay.
better than
This.
the two that made it.
Oh, that's arguable.
Right. This episode guest stars Shannon Cochran and Michael Canavan, and they would later marry each other after meeting on the set.
Are you talking with our
Of this-
marquee friends?
I think so.
They're the only other people in this episode. Let me see if I can find a photo of
Yep.
either of them.
Yeah, that's who they are.
Yeah, I don't have a photo of them. They didn't even put them in the.
Yeah, it's the Maquis, the two Maquis that are helping out William T. Riker.
Well, that's
They
a nice
got married.
story. They met here and they ended up in prison together. Well, and then they have lack of options. They ended up marrying each other.
Having little terrorist babies.
Yeah,
Not the characters, the actors.
I know. I was having a little fun with you,
But-
Jeff.
But you know what? You're probably right. The char-
Maybe you never know.
Yeah.
I bet you the actors believe their characters ended up getting married in prison. This episode builds on the humanization of the character of Gold Dukat, which began in the Maquis Part 2 from the
Part
second
2.
season and continued in the third season in Civil Defense. In Defiant, Dukat is saddened about missing his son's birthday, and his interpretation of what that will mean to his son in future years is uncharacteristically honest. This softening of his character continues up to the 5th season episode By Inferno's Light.
Yeah. And he gives us so much honesty that he admits he's a complete psycho.
Well, yeah, he is, but I mean, he's also capable of coming across completely normal.
Yes.
Where he's talking about missing his son's birthday and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's cute. Yes, he has his moments.
The large Cardassian view screen seen many times in this episode is actually a miniature designed by Gary Hutzel and built by Tony Menninger. The shots of Cisco standing in front of the screen were composite. What?
There we go. That's the screen.
Oh, okay. The shots of Cisco standing in front of the screen were composite shots of the miniature and actor Avery Brooks in front of a blue screen.
Really? They didn't shrink him down and just have him.
Honey, I shrunk the
Honey, I
hawk.
Shrunk the Kids of Star Trek.
Downsizing. Deep
Yeah.
Space Nine. Okay. It is unknown if William T. Riker visited Quarks during the Enterprise's first visit to Deep Space Nine in Emissary, the first episode. Its second visit in Birthright, Part 1, or another time altogether, though an offhand comment by Jadzia places his visit closer to that of Birthright, Part 1. She says, I met him a year ago, discussing Riker with Kira.
Yeah, and she lent him money.
Lent him money for gambling.
Right? Why did he need to borrow money? What did she ask in exchange? Because don't you feel like that Riker and Dax would just hook up for kicks?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And
I
then
don't
she
think they know
looked.
each other that well though.
She looked at him, I think, with a look that was like, we boned. And then he looked at her like, we did. No, we didn't. But it was the other Riker. Damn.
That little bit of jealousy on his face.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
that was that whole look. Like
That's what made him snap. That's
That was
like, I'm
Jonathan
going to
Frakes.
blow up 1,000 Cardassians. I don't
Give this
care.
man
That's
an
why
Emmy.
he didn't have time to shave. He wasn't going to steal the Defiant until that moment, and then he snapped. And he was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to do it."
He's like, I don't care. Screw it. Okay. Shannon Cochran reprises her role as Kalita from the Next Generation's Preemptive Strike. She would next be seen on Deep Space Nine as Sorella in the 6th season.
Okay. Oh, I never realized they had that character crossover from both shows too. That's smart.
There you go. Shared universe, Eve.
Shared universe. Amazing.
Quantum torpedoes are used for the first time by a Federation starship in this episode. The Cardassian Union had a quantum torpedo technology as early as Stardate 47582, mid-23rd 70s, as Cardassian ATR 4107 was equipped with these weapons.
Yeah. Like, I got to say that this episode does so much to sell the Defiant to us, way more than it did in the Search Part 1 and 2. Like, it was like the way Dukat gives it all this credibility. He's like the most powerful warship in the sector. Like,
and it had to be somebody that's not Starfleet saying that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The fact that it's like this character, like, it gives it all this credibility,
Yeah.
And because it wasn't rushed, because it's like the 9th episode in this 3rd season. It's
Right.
been a while. The Defiant's been around for a while. He's used it to take Dax to the hospital. And did he do something else? I don't think so.
He went,
They went to the disappearing planet.
Oh yeah, and the disappearing.
Disappear. Terrible. Don't remind me. Okay. Moving on. Fun fact: Trisha O'Neill portrayed Rachel Garrett in yesterday's Enterprise, and Kurak in Suspicions.
You don't say.
Although not set in the mirror universe. Dave, this is fun facts with Jeff.
I know.
Jeff gets the fun facts in,
Yep.
even if they've already been said.
I was a preemptive fact.
Although not set in the mirror universe, this episode continues the franchise convention of a character's evil twin wearing a Van Dyke style goatee.
It's not a twin. He's a transporter duplicate.
Not a clone, not a twin, not a twin. He's Danny DeVito. According to the non-canon novel Quarantine, it was Chakotay's idea for Tom Riker to steal the Defiant from Deep Space Nine by posing as Commander Riker.
It's a great idea. That would have been amazing if they had done this. They could have done a 2-parter here.
Sure.
And that's great that they have Chakotay sort of cast as the guy who's like, you know what you should do?
Yeah.
You know what
Hey,
you
no, he's the guy who goes, hey, next time, can I not be the bad guy?
Yeah.
That's Chakotay.
Like, rightly or wrongly, sorry, Chakotay. I was thinking, sorry, I completely lost it.
Rightly or wrongly, Chakotay.
Like, it would have been a great idea. Like, it would, okay, rightly or wrongly, the Deep Space Nine writers did not want to do this, right? They did not want to have to do this episode where Riker came in and made out with Kira. This was like TNG came in and defiled their show, Jeff, right?
Yeah,
like,
kind of like they did Enterprise when the finale was the TNG episode.
Yeah, it felt like that, or worse, right? And they were just like that's why Tom Riker never came back, because they're like, if Berman's not making us do it, we're not doing this, right. And that's why I think that a lot of things, this is just a one and done.
I agree with you that this is Pillar and Berman definitely going hey,
we got Voyager coming out. You got to do something with that. We got this movie. You got to get Riker in there. But Tom Riker.
They trusted the writer, who you will tell us who the writer is, because I know who it is already, to kind of shepherd this whole thing.
Would it be Ronald D. Moore?
It is.
But
I didn't want to say it because it's fun facts with Jeff and not details discovered by Dave.
Dave, Jaemeel, Robert
that on the board.
Hewitt Wolf was also the executive story editor.
Ooh. But you like that there, that you can coin and minted discoveries done by Dave. There you go.
Right.
Welcome.
Okay, so
Hold on, I need to.
You gotta shorten it. Just Dave's double D's.
Dave's
Double D.
Dave's double D's.
Dave's double D's.
Double F with Jeff and double D with Dave.
There you go. That's how the magic happens.
Okay. Next fun fact: we have to portray the new Keldon class warships. The studio model of the Gaylor class Cardassian cruiser was modified with extra fins on the tail section and additional structures on the top of the ship. Unlike some other shooting model modifications, these were designed to be easily removed so the model could be returned to its original configuration. So they literally just used the old models and put some wings and tails on it and stuff, and they're like, it's a new model.
They put a spoiler on it, basically.
Yeah.
Makes it go faster.
Dave, there's a 47 reference.
Oh,
There is a perimeter alert at Cardassian Outpost 47.
Jeez.
I hate these 47 references. Like,
Yeah,
they're
they're
not even good.
tiresome.
I love them. Because they bother everybody else so much.
They're like they're like why? What does it mean? They're like nothing. It's just our little joke. Put the same number. and everything. I'm like, what?
Well, it's numerology, right? So 4 and 7 sum to 11. So maybe it's 11.
What? Who cares?
I don't know what that means. Like, what's happening? Like,
I don't know. It's numerology. All right. Jonathan Frakes' appearance on this episode coincides with the release of Generations in much the same way that Leonard Nimoy's appearance in the Next Generations episode Unification 1 and 2 coincided with the release of The Undiscovered Country in 1991. In both cases, the actor's appearance can be seen as a form of promotion for the new film. Furthermore, this episode is scripted by Ronald D. Moore, who co-wrote the screenplay for Generations.
there you go. It's all tied together.
Okay.
This episode bears some parallels to The Wounded, Next Generation episode, which marks the first appearance of the Cardassians in the Star Trek franchise. In both episodes, the lead character, Picard or Sisko, must temporarily team up with the Cardassians to track the movements of a rogue Starfleet ship that is attacking Cardassian ships, and the commanding officer of the rogue ship, in this case Maxwell or Thomas Riker, is eventually persuaded to stand down by someone aboard his own ship. O'Brien in the TNG episode, Akira in this episode. Mark Alimo, despite being playing two different roles, Gul Macet and Gul Dukat, has a similar position in both stories.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well, here's a little detail discovered by Dave that his Gul Macet character in some literature is the cousin of Gul Dukat, although he's not evil like Gul Dukat.
Yeah.
Back over to Double F.
Thank you, Double D.
Quick tags.
This episode is a sequel to the Next Generation episode, Second Chances, picking up the story of Thomas Riker.
You know, it's Second Chances is the first
Bookends.
part.
He leaves one planet and he ends up on another planet.
Here's my trombone. Thanks. I'm gonna go blow some things up. Okay, thanks. That's where they picked up. Okay. In an outtake from the episode, Avery Brooks and Jonathan Frakes burst into laughter. In another, Frakes falls through a door on the Defiant set.
So Avery Brooks and Frakes are buddies.
Well, they're having a good time on this episode.
I don't think
They jam together.
friends.
Yeah, but they probably played some jazz.
They play some jazz together.
Yeah, probably.
Does Jonathan Frakes really play the trombone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then you got a piano player, you got the trombonist Frakes, you got what the hell that O'Brien play? Cello or something?
You play get the him as the cello.
We got a flute player in Picard.
Yeah, who else is in this band? Who's on the bongos?
Was it Worf?
Yeah, he could be
well,
on it. He's not a
yeah.
merry man, but he'll do it.
I can
obviously
see
Jada
Geordi
can play.
being a pretty good drummer.
Yeah.
Geordi. Yeah, I can see it.
Like the Stevie Wonder was like an insanely good drummer. Geordie's kind of he's kind
oh, I was like they're both blind guys.
they're both
Okay.
blind. Yeah, they're both
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was like Stevie Wonder. Yeah.
Worf is doing vocals for sure.
It's death metal.
yeah. Worf's on vocals. Worf's an opera singer, man. He'd be like, "Do you want to hear my fuck berserker or whatever it is?"
Jeez, you are old in the fandom, sir. You just give up midway through that reference.
I was like, "What does he say?" Exactly.
Would you like some making fuck berserker?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's
Did you just say making fuck? Olaf, do more metal face. Looking sexy.
That's his metal face.
yeah.
What's the name of the band, Dave?
Berserker.
No, that's the name of the song and the possible album. What is the name of the band? No, it's Fuck You Yankee Blue Jeans.
I remember that part.
Sounds like a good band name.
Yeah.
This episode features 347 references, Dave. Count them.
Jeez.
Or just one if you understand how numbers work. I can't believe it says
Oh
this.
no, it's a clever 47.3, but not really. Oh, no.
The Defiant features the registry number NX 74205, which is not a 47 reference. Cisco's commander's log mentions the start date 48467, which is not a 47 reference. And the Cardassian outpost 47 is mentioned in dialogue. I don't understand how there's only one.
Why they say that any number like 48 or 46 that comes near this number is not a reference, but therefore is a reference?
This is my favorite fun fact of all time. It's not a fun fact at all. Not even it's
not a thing. It's like
if you understand how numbers work, I can't believe it says that.
Someone feel very proud of that entry.
Yeah. Although this episode was screened 3 days after the release of Generations, the star dates indicate that this takes place shortly before Generations. This makes sense, as Riker and Sisko's conversation would seem to indicate the Enterprise is still active.
yes, I agree. Like sometimes the movie releases didn't directly correspond on the show. Just like when First Contact came out, they were all wearing the new uniform. We saw Worf in that uniform, but we would not see him wear it on the show until a few months later. So the movie is sort of not. It didn't like whatever month First Contact came out in was not directly correlated to what was going on Deep Space Nine and Voyager at the time. Exactly, there's a bit of a time gap.
Right.
But it's a time travel.
Okay. This episode introduces a fleet of Keldon class ships secretly constructed by the Obsidian Order in the Orion system. The later third season episode, Improbable Cause, reveals the reason for their construction. They were being used in a joint operation by the Obsidian Order and the Romulan Tal Shiar to launch an assault on the Founder's homeworld, precipitating the Battle of the Omarion Nebula.
That's a really cool twist. And I think that this setup here is a really awesome. We haven't really touched on that, but it was I think that especially with Garrick and Odo later on and that whole twist, and then continuing that with an Aubertane in the subsequent like prison camp episode, really well done. Like some of those DC9's best work.
Yep, definitely. This episode begins with Kira being ordered by Dr. Bashir to take some time off. Shortly after, Riker explains to Cisco that Dr. Crusher did the same to him. However, since this is really Thomas Riker, and his story about Crusher is therefore a lie, and since he spent 3 hours hanging out with Kira the night before, we may surmise that he used Kira's story as inspiration for his fabrication. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, he was listening in.
Inspiration for his fabrication. Oh, that rolls right off the tongue.
Him bumping into her was absolutely an accident, not him waiting for her to come around and him into her.
Yeah, no, he was conning her. So, good con artists always kind of like, use something that will be relatable, or, it seems like anyway, a lot of them. So that's what Sawyer would do from Lost. Okay, Dave, that's it for Double F with Jeff.
All right.
Any detail double D's with Dave?
Well, nothing really else that Jeff didn't cover. Right? Like, this is a great episode, but here we need to get more specific. We need to get into the R is for ratings.
Great
And
episode.
It's good because I understand how numbers work. So
that's what I think. And you know what? If you understand how numbers work, we're gonna go in here. So Jeff, you're up first.
I give it an 8.5 for this one.
Yeah, I'm going 9.8.
That work?
Wow.
Well, I'm going with an 8.
9.4.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
I'm gonna be the fly in the ointment. 6.5.
That's an 8.4 average, and this has an 8.1 IMDb for a combined of 8.3. So the 8.4, there is some high scores here with me and Kevin being the low fly in the ointment at 6.5. But does this make our top 10 now? Defiant. Let's have a quick look. Just the top 10. No, it did not make our top 10 in terms of overall average rating. So, but very, very close.
I like the Gem Hadar more than this episode, and the Wire.
Right. There's a couple in here like crossover that are done. Jaemeel, you need to get some ratings in here because a few of these top 10 aren't completely fleshed out. And this one here, Dax, which was that only Jeff and I have given ratings to that one, so it's currently keeping it in the top 10.
Jeez,
which I don't know if it really deserves to be in the top 10.
Well, you guys put 9.0 like in retrospect.
It was our 8th episode, Jaemeel. We were high on it.
Yeah, it was like season 1. We were trying to look at some positive things.
We're like, this seems like a good episode. Like, the rest of them were kind of been sucking, but at least this was a good like courtroom drama.
Right. I don't know if it would hold if we went back and watched it now compared like that's the whole thing too. Is like but we did like it's not like we haven't seen the show before. We know how good it could get. But when now you get to an episode like this, you watch this and you talk about you break it all down and you think about, well, when I watched that, I definitely wasn't feeling that at the time. I definitely wasn't feeling that excited about that episode. But
yeah.
It was on that particular night, Jeff and I both liked it enough to give it.
That was a trial episode, right?
Yeah.
I didn't like that episode, so it would have dropped for sure.
Right. Well, hey, it's not like the ratings are done. You can fill in where you're not. Ashley is missing quite a bit, actually. So, and then there's these 4 weeks where Jaemeel was out, like the Maquis part 1 and 2.
Yeah, those wonderful 4 weeks. Where was Jaemeel at that time?
Well, you were not well. You were struggling for breath, as I recall.
Staring at a screen.
Yes. Not well. So anyway, so those are the ratings. And I think that probably wraps it up for the episode, Jeff?
Yeah. I did want to mention though that I have recently completed the Netflix show The Serpent, and me and Dave are going to be covering it on Super Mario Bros. Podcasting. If any of you else, Ashley,
never heard of it.
Jaemeel,
Never heard
of it. Just came out.
Just came out.
It just came out. It's got the Impossible Girl. What's her name? Jenna Coleman.
Jenna Coleman, yeah,
from Doctor Who. She played.
She was one of the companions.
She was
the one. She was the one that was there for the 50th, and so she's in it. I've tried watching a few episodes. It's I'm not liking this guy. He's very bad, Jeff. So we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show, and I can't wait to break it down on Super Mario Bros. Podcast.
I would love to hear.
It makes me suspicious. It's made me suspicious of everybody, and it makes me not want to go anywhere ever again.
Yeah, whenever you travel, never leave a drink open.
Yeah, don't take drinks. I'm not even going to drink anything ever again. That's my new motto. Because it could be drunk.
Yeah, unless it hasn't been cracked, like where
unless I know for sure that this hasn't been tampered with.
It will make you be afraid of pretty much everybody whenever you travel.
We can't wait to talk about that with
Can't
you.
wait to talk about it.
Super Mater Brothers podcasting.
Super Mario Bros. Podcast, and you guys are covering Big Brother Canada 3 nights a week. You
3
crazy
nights a
people!
Week 7 of 10 we're into now. We just had the double eviction last week. The 7 of the 14 house guests are out, Jeff, and we're into jury phase here, and it's anybody's game. And by anybody, I mean probably Jetson.
So, will you have done 30 podcasts when all is said and done?
Probably at least we've done 19, I think, as of last night.
Wow. Okay. We also have on Live Long and Podcast, we have Star Trek Radio Theater. We have that coming tomorrow night.
Sunday night.
Sunday night. Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday night. This Sunday night, April 18th, I believe it is. We're going to be doing Arman Bashir. We were going to do it this past weekend, if you've heard this plug before, but we had some postponements, so we are going ahead for this week. And Jaemeel, you're going to be playing Dr. Bashir. So this is a season 4 episode. So we're going to get to this in a few weeks, I think, probably.
What a laugh!
What a laugh!
What a
Jeff
laugh.
is playing Garrick. It's going to be our James Bond episode. It's so James Bond. We don't know if we'll get. We're hoping for cease and desist letters from them and from Paramount. Hopefully, they'll all come to.
This is the episode where we break through. We get all the cease
All
and
the
desist
cease and
letters.
desist.
Can we get everyone to hate us at once? That's the goal. So
How many 47 references would there be?
Also, Jeff, on Live Long and Podcast, Wednesday tomorrow, original series, we're going to be watching an episode from season 3 called "And the Children Shall Lead," and we're going to have a special guest, Kevin Millard, coming in to talk about the episode first time on TED Trek Wednesdays.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, there we go.
And then in 2 weeks,
Oh, and then in 2 weeks on our third channel, Trivial Debates, we're going to have, it was going to be
geez.
Eamon hosting with Adam Woodward, Jody Simpson, and Ted Mater. But wait, there's more. Ted Mater has backed out and has thrown in Beth Mater as the competitive. And it will now be competing in this trifecta.
Oh,
so
jeez.
excited,
Jody's got no chance.
so excited.
It's over.
Yeah, so check that out on April 25th, Sunday, over on Trivial Debates. We'll talk about the questions as we approach the date. They're already out. The questions have already been submitted, so there's
Those
things
that's
happen.
nice. That's always good to get them, that far in advance.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Adam, Jody, and his grandmother with Eamon, and I'll be producing it. Best scene in the house.
Can you give us a taster of a question?
Oh, sure. Give me just 2 seconds while I pull those up. So Eamon's got what movie makes the best use of its soundtrack?
Oh,
So it's
I know what your
soundtrack, not a
mom's gonna
score. Not a score, a soundtrack.
Yeah, soundtrack.
I know what your mom's gonna pick.
She's going to pick like Moonstruck or something.
Or Scott Pilgrim, obviously.
I talked to her earlier about her picks, and the Moonstruck thing is dead on. So don't tell anyone.
Well,
She's still got time.
I already know what the argument's going to be. I just love the music in that movie. yeah.
Tune in for that.
Yes, can't wait.
Also, the wild card question is: if you could pull out any one snack out of your pocket anytime and an infinite amount of that, what would that snack be?
Pizza, man. Obviously, in your pocket. Great.
In your pocket? I don't know,
Yeah.
Nature Bar.
Or was it
Oh, a hot dog.
dog?
Pocket
Dog.
Pocket dog is the
That's
way
a
to go.
League reference. If you don't watch the League, missing out.
Yeah, you walk
Yeah,
around
dog.
long enough with a pocket dog, your body heat warms it up, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
here's another one he's asking. What was the worst season of a good TV show?
Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's like
That
it's
has
like
it a lock.
my mom doesn't
Yeah.
watch that, so she didn't pick that.
I think
She
that would
should
be a
pick
hard
it-
one to judge because you got to get a specific good show to bad season ratio. There's a certain formula to hit the optimum ratio, I think.
First
I think
season of Naruto.
Roseanne.
I was just gonna say Roseanne for sure.
You know what?
That's
The
got
final
noticed.
season, the final season of Lost would be up there.
Shut your mouth.
Would be up there.
Shut your mouth.
No, not the final season of Lost. It's I'd
Could have
say
been so much better.
last season of Roseanne. I think the last season of Game of Thrones is a big
It's
contender.
Yeah.
I've heard Dexter didn't have a good
season 7
ending.
of Married with Children.
Judge that I stopped watching after season 1.
Some people
Season
don't-
7 of Married with Children.
Yeah, it's not even just like the last episode; it's like the last season, right? It's like the whole season went off the
Married
rails.
with Children's last episode.
Season 7, where Peggy and Marcy both get pregnant. 7 comes in.
Oh.
This is a horrible season.
Well, hey, that's all. So check it over on Trivial Debates, and that's
Can't
it
wait.
for Deep Space Nine and Nine-ish. All right, Jeff, take us away.
Well, for all of us here at Tuesdays 9 at 9ish, remember, don't steal Starfleet